All right, so we're gonna be chit-chatting, but I'm using the live stream as an excuse to promote the thing. So the the follow-up proper interview with Tom, because we did 20 minutes. I always forget that part. I always forget. Anyway, I think I just got a call back from somebody, but I'll have to check that out. Okay. Anyway, where was I? Yes. So Tom is. Maria was in the middle of setting up her first question when Tom had got cut. So as was the setup for this interview, I wanted to have the discussion about the really serious shit. It has to be discussed first, right? Which is the human side of this, the real world side of this, the before it's art, the before it's science, right? And the fact that the science is in the fucking package, right? Because Tom's script was one of the first things published out there with various concepts. And I keep forgetting if he said that he has patents for some of the stuff that's in there, right? That's something that Sophia Stewart can't claim. She can't claim that. And we already know it ain't the Wachowskis. So all this shit is like, that's the important stuff, right? Like, these are the conversations that actually have a super depth of importance. And these conversations, they even if you don't see somebody brought to quote-unquote justice with these conversations, people hear this stuff and they make personal decisions. And people making these personal decisions, now that they are informed about who they are actually dealing with, they change their relationships, often cutting off those relationships, or discovering that a relationship that they never associated with was actually the right way to go. And I don't mean like relationships like trusting someone you love or whatever. I'm talking about like business partnerships, so on and so forth. I that's kind of a big deal with my modus operandi. My vitriol that I have against those characters that really are just they're just not like respectable people to me, right? My whole issue with them is that they're petty party. Not even a pity party, it's a petty party. Their petty party was more important than the biospherical regenesis of this planet, thus limiting the reach of the interconnected network of Americans. And as an example to the rest of the world of a different way of things that can be done, like America's life was an example of many, many years before. Despite the dark sides that were undermining various aspects of humanity going for a better way. And so all of that stuff was just people not being capable of dealing with arbitrary differences, or oddities of like, well, he's on the weirdy side, right? Like, and the problem is that that's what you've kind of done, is that you've taken a certain kind of weird guy And because that certain kind of weird guy has been trended on purpose through media filters to fit a description, a behavior, right? It's kind of like metalheads all being a certain way, right? Or people that wear a certain kind of glasses and mustache, are a predator, right? Like this kind of thing. Like, see, he has been fully set into the grooming of exactly what he looks like that I have seen biases upon, right? And it goes into all of that. Even though there's no actual evidence to the contrary. Meanwhile, we live in a world where a superstar can name himself P. Diddy, which is a play on pedophile playing with children, the diddling, right? He can do that. He can have songs that allude to it. And you'll say, you'll rationalize that that's not what it is, and then they'll go with whatever you rationalize. They're waiting for you to buy it before they actually sell it. Otherwise, they're putting it out there. First, they put it out there to see if you notice, and then they evaluate your reaction to noticing it if you notice it, and if it's a positive because you choose to believe it, or you choose to if you choose to disbelieve it, good, we have a marketing plug for this, because they want to put it out there, because they want to propagate that fucking culture. So this is why I want to have this conversation with Tom, because he's not just dealing with his own, this is not just his own personal slice of Hollywood evil. His fucking script was so fucking big that it went into all of science fiction story fucking telling in mainstream Hollywood. It's not just fucking Warner Brothers, it's fucking Disney too. So people have to understand exactly how important, like, his story is actually in destroying. His testimony can destroy tremendous amounts of the dark sorcery that has held us in this kind of industrial dark age that we didn't want to admit we were living in, because we thought that a dark age meant you didn't get to have fun, but it was fun, right? You had such a good time at the movie theater. You had such a good time at vacation. Meanwhile, you will not take responsibility for Western civilization's influence leaning on wars in the world and so on and so forth. And then you refuse to take the personal responsibility of knowing it for reals from sources that are not involved with what is already the perpetuation of problems, such as the institutions of learning that you're at. You can't transcend any of that, at least not in an objective way. You'll find a one wild ideologue to fucking kind of trim your whole thing, and it's all bullshit. You'll be out of it in a fucking year. It's just a fucking trend for you because you're still in an undeveloped mind of like a 20-ish year old or something who is jumping from fucking thing to thing, under impulse. You're still under a tremendous amount of impulse, men and women. Which is why everything's a joke to you, because 90% of your fucking world is filtered in your peripheral, and it gives you the safety to make a mockery of serious fucking situations, right? And thus, you are easily distracted. You're not easily distracted from your focus, but anything that's not in your focus, will distract you from all of the secondary things to your focus, right? Because, the reason why, typically someone's actual focus is not really knocked off is because of their level of selfishness, right? There was a lot of people after 9/11 that, their first impulse was to double down on finishing up what they were doing selfishly for them, because they knew that, oh shit, things are about to change, or things are about to be closed for a while, yada, yada, yada. So the first thing they did is that they doubled down on their personal focus and they said, yeah, something about terrorists in the world and taxes and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Right? You get it, right? It's all fucking tertiary to that fucking person, right? While they're just taking care of their personal life. Now, COVID comes along, same fucking deal. It's all in your fucking tertiary, so everything looks pretty good to you. I better mask a jab up. Right? Meanwhile, you don't realize that everything is being manipulated because people are trying to put forward a fucking script. Oh, wait, and that script happens to be an exact inversion of the message in the Matrix film as it is properly scripted in Immortals. These are the kinds of things that are going on, and that's the thing. Hey, what's up, Violence? And Jenny's here, hi. And some guy asking me about cars who obviously is an idiot. And if he takes insult to that, he can go fuck off, because he's talking about cars and I'm talking about saving children's lives and creating a better world. And all you care about is my favorite fucking car. Unless you're getting me a car as like a midsummer gift for no fucking reason, then you don't need to know what my favorite fucking kind of car is. Not this car. And my prior car was much better. There's your best answer. Anyway, because I'm much more interested in a Type 1 civilization, which is comes along with human beings developing in the physical world once they've developed in their inner life and created life around them before they created material around them, right? We should be building life before we're building buildings. That's the idea. We should have a relationship with nature before we alter nature towards a higher design and purpose in the function of incarnated beings having the experience of the higher force in physical reality. Which is another reason why The Immortals is an interesting story to talk about, that I want to talk about, is because you're talking about getting this film out of simulation theory, right? The thing that everybody's going to have to divorce themselves from is that simulation simulacra had nothing to do with the Immortals script. It is the superimposition for the Matrix storyboard put on the Immortals script. Right? And, you know, it's one thing to pick on the movie business for how the sausage, but dude, when there's fucking really fucking dishonorable foul play afoot, you know, when you're talking about somebody got fucking robbed, killed, and publicly blacklisted, you know, that's not even close to our imagination of how the sausage is made in Hollywood, until you start looking at the Hollywood mafia rabbit holes, right? And so these are all entrenched in Hollywood mafia rabbit hole shit. You know, this is the same principles that make what Nick is doing on the Occult Rejects, Spiritual Gangster podcast, Rotting Jewels, like, same kind of thing, right? It's just like you're hammering home the crimes of the Process Church of the Final Judgment because it's all fucking related to weird cultist bullshit. And by the way, half these stories happen in my backyard. I was just in Yonkers yesterday to pick up a freaking piece of music equipment I ordered. And the only Guitar Center in my area is in Yonkers. I'll be uploading footage of me and Nick from the Occult Rejects at Untermeyer Park. I've started the production process. I will probably get around to it later today after the Althouse interview. So yeah, this is awesome stuff. It's big stuff. It's like I've said a couple of times now, right? If there was ever a fucking screenwriter from Hollywood that anyone should ever wanted to interview about anything, it ought to be this fucking guy. But typically, we don't fucking even talk to screenwriters in general. Granted, it seems like a lot of screenwriters don't want to talk anyway. And they seem to have groomed most screenwriters to be disinterested in talking. And I'll probably want to talk a little bit about that with Tom too, because, you know, if Tom is the one of anything, he's the one fucking screenwriter in the entire fucking English-speaking world that's talking to anybody about a film they wrote. Aye. All right. Cool. So, yeah. So, thank you, guys. So, I will see you guys at 3. I'm going to go put myself in the gym and go get my ass a decent little pump. And I will, I'll catch you. I have a feeling that we're going to break the Matrix today. I'll catch you later.